Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. Today's guest is a podcaster hailing all the way from the Bronx in the United States. His name is Zaga. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you getting me on the show. I was born and raised in the Bronx, though. I don't reside in the Bronx anymore. Don't reside in the Bronx anymore. We moved on up.
Yeah, so let's jump forward with that. So, are you living in Salem, Massachusetts now?
No, I just go there a lot, a whole lot. I actually live in
Okay.
Connecticut.
Yeah, okay, Connecticut. Okay, cool. I know where that is. Big wrestling fan, so I know all about that.
Yes. Oh, big
Let's ju-
wrestling fan. Okay.
Oh, massive, huge wrestling fan. So for those who don't know, the significance of Connecticut is that is, I believe, the headquarters of WWE, the biggest wrestling
Yes.
company in the world.
Used to be next door to ESPN.
Oh, man. Okay.
In Bristol, Connecticut. They moved the headquarters to Stamford. Stamford, Connecticut is the headquarters of WWE now.
There's a place in New York called Bristol. That's interesting. Bristol here is a major
Connecticut
city.
to Stamford, Connecticut. Yep. I only know this because there's a water park about a half a mile down the road from the two buildings. So you would drive by WWE headquarters and you would drive by ESPN headquarters to go to a water park.
That explains why WWE was always so obsessed with ESPN. Like, other than wanting to get main coverage, like they were right next to them. Like, come on, guys, come on, give us some
Literally
attention.
next door. That's how they got. That's how they got the coach. That's how ESPN stole coach
Yeah, and then he left. Then he came back
again.
and they left again.
Listen, it's Disney, man. They pay. I don't know what to say.
Talking of which, where do you reckon WWE will end up, like ownership wise? Because there was that big old rumor last year that they were going to be bought out by the Saudis, which seemed like it was legit, and then it turned out to be not legit. And then there's talk of like maybe Disney acquiring them, NBC. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Really, I think the whole Saudi thing is a bad decision because you're going to have a lot of superstars walk away and a lot of big name superstars. I think Becky Lynch was one of them that did not want to be part of it anymore if the Saudis took over it. And for good reason. I mean, they kind of live, no offense to any other culture out there, but it's kind of predated culture, where people aren't supposed to be, keep covered up and stuff like that. And it's offensive. Like, come on, it's 2023. The world's different. And especially WWE, we don't watch the divas. I'm not trying to be offensive, but let's be real. The guys watch the divas because, well, we want to see some skin. I remember back in the aggressive area, or what was it, aggressive, or back in the day, they had
aggressive era.
I call it aggressive. It's what it was. But like
aggression,
they literally had pillow fights, lingerie matches. Do you remember that?
I do, man. It was kind of painful. Like, don't get me wrong.
It's cringy.
I was a young, impressionable kid, so obviously I loved seeing.
Of course,
ladies.
we love to watch it.
But I don't know. I personally see it as like the best of both worlds. You got these awesome women who can perform,
absolutely,
and entertain, and then also they're really hot. So it's like, 2 for 1. It's great.
The fact that Lita's back makes it so much better.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, like I was thinking, like as this past Royal Rumble happened, how awesome it is that we get like 2 Royal Rumble matches now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like that's just fucking awesome.
And it was. I remember back in early 2000s watching the female division wrestle. They weren't as physical as they are today. They weren't doing some of the stuff the guys were. And to see, I mean, Stacy Keibler, Trish Stratus, Lita, they were the goats, but everyone in the world respected Lita, and obviously China as well, because they would go into the men's division and do stuff with them as well, and not just be eye candy. And now you see that it's its own storylines, it's its own thing. I know the problem though that I see that WWE is having, they have so many good storylines, they just don't know how to really approach it correctly. At least recently, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, well, I think with WWE, the problem has always been in more recent years that they pull the trigger on stories too quickly. There are some notable exceptions, though. I mean, recently they've had this storyline with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline and everything, which has been excellent, and it's played out over the last 9 months.
Emmy award winning.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I ever wanted to kind of demonstrate the best of professional wrestling, I just showed them the end of Royal Rumble this year because it was like devastating. I don't know. It was like something out of a movie. I was like, oh my God, no. Brilliant.
Massive twist ending. Well, speaking of which,
I don't know. I think you can see it coming.
Yeah, we knew what was happening.
Yeah.
But question for you: do you think The Rock's going to come out of retirement and wrestle Roman? Take down the bloodline, show him who the true bloodline is?
if ever there was a time to do it, now's the time. I mean, come on, WrestleMania in Hollywood. Like, when else are you going to
Exactly.
do it? You could do it WrestleMania 40. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's kind of a weird one because The Rock he's no longer a wrestler. He's an actor now.
Yeah.
And, it's like any of them, John Cena, The Rock, whatever, like when they come out of retirement and they come to wrestle, it's a danger because it's so easy to break a bone, whatever, get injured, especially when you're older and you haven't been doing it like week in, week out. Just see CM Punk, he spent 7 years away from the ring, came back, he gets injured all the time, but you can't really blame the guy. It's like you're not 20 years old anymore.
CM Punk also had a failed UFC career, so there's that.
Yeah, but like, I mean, just like the kind of like the consistent day in day out. Even let's take someone like
Yeah.
Randy Orton, same age, right? And he's been
Yeah.
doing it full time since his early 20s or whatever. And he's getting injured more now, and he's at the top of his game. He's a really healthy man, but it's just look, the body just gives out after a while. And bringing it back to The Rock, like it's a money match. It's an obvious choice. It would make money. It would be easy because Roman is an excellent competitor. He could carry The Rock through it. No disrespect to The Rock, but like you need someone you can trust, and
Yeah.
Roman can make stuff look devastating, and he's really good at it. And I mean, come on, imagine the promos. It'd be brilliant.
Oh my God, the trash talk would be next
Yeah,
level.
yeah, and I think here's another thing as well that not many people are talking about. I almost feel like it'd be better to do it at WrestleMania 40. Give people the special moment with Cody. Make go
Mhm.
off and do. Look, Roman doesn't need the title anymore.
Yeah.
There's certain people that don't need the title anymore. Seth Rollins is one of them. Like I saw an article earlier, like, oh, it would suck if every year Rollins just puts someone else over, and but it's like he doesn't need the title. Like the whole point of the title, generally speaking, is to elevate a competitor, put them onto a main event level. But not everyone needs the title. I mean, Jake the Snake Roberts never needed the title. There's
Mhm.
plenty of other competitors that don't need it. I mean, I know it's a symbolic of like you're the man, you're the person, you're the head of the company, whatever. But some people just don't need it, I think, and I think that Reigns is now one of them. And I feel
Yeah.
like you could make more money by having the title off of him. Like beat him with Cody, make it a very hard fought thing. You can throw in other storyline stuff like people getting involved, whatever, but still have Cody decisively win. And then you start paving the way for WrestleMania 40. Give Roman a ton of time off, because absence makes the heart grow fonder. And
Mhm.
then you start paving the way for the Rock Roman Reigns, and you don't have to have a title involved. And there you go. There's a main event for you, and
Yep.
you can start building. You can still have your title match and everything. Because sometimes like they'll bring the title into a match that doesn't need to happen, like The Rock and Cena when The Rock beat CM Punk, I think at the Royal Rumble, pussy was it 2012, I think 2011, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
And it was just not necessary.
Yeah.
It was fun because obviously CM Punk as a heel is money. It was fun stuff with The Rock. He was good, but it just didn't need to happen. Or a more recent example, Kevin Owens getting squashed by Goldberg in like 30
Oh
seconds or
yeah.
whatever it was. That didn't need
I
to
mean, can we say though,
happen.
Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens was probably one of the best things I've ever seen at a WrestleMania.
It's excellent. Yeah. I mean, I was very apprehensive about Austin coming out
Oh,
of
dude, he came
retirement.
back and he looked like he could be a regular again. He looked so good.
Yeah, I like this kind of this old fat this like cowboy coming out of retirement and kicking some ass kind of vibes. I dig that. Like Austin's not going to come back and wrestle, but he'll come back and kick your ass, and maybe for longer
Just once in a
than
while, just come back
yeah,
and
longer for. I mean, like Kevin Owens is just so hideously underrated. I mean, there's a couple of guys that they've got now that just deserve so much more credit than they get. Like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, is a few. Like these
Bray
guys are
Wyatt.
just
I think he
brilliant.
deserves another a big push again. I
I think he's getting it. I don't know what they're doing with this whole this new story.
Uncle
Uncle Howdy,
Uncle
yeah.
whatever.
Did you see, by the way, he completely missed his target? There's a
Yes,
shot.
there's a video where he
Yeah.
completely just he landed like 4 feet away.
He just jumped. He just did a Shane McMahon and just jumped through the fucking floor. He just like for no
Well,
reason, that's
I
sacrifice.
don't know.
Yeah, but it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, lots of exciting things happening in WWE right now. What do you make of AEW? Because I feel like they've slipped
I
off a
don't
bit.
watch AEW honestly. I know I'm missing out on great entertainment, but never got into it. Just never.
Oh,
Even when
really?
WCW was the thing, I was like, I'm WWF all day. That's my
Really?
team,
You
and
never
I just
get
never got
like
into it.
you never get curious like CM Punk coming back or Brian Danielson wrestling or because they still have some big match stuff here and there.
Yeah, again, I just never. I don't have regular cables, so I was like, it's. eh. I have to admit, like, I'm not a nor. I don't watch it as regularly as I'd like to.
Nah, me
I watch a
neither.
lot of highlight stuff on like
Yeah,
Bleacher Report. I'll watch like the highlight. I watch just the one match, or if I see a clip of a match and I'm interested, I'll go watch that episode so I can watch the full match or whatever. Um,
yeah,
yeah, like because don't get it twisted. I love Logan Paul. I think that guy is
yeah.
perfect for the WWE. I think he is the perfect face. I bet you he buys the WWE at this point. I mean, Jesus, what has that guy not done? Right? Like he
Well,
owns companies. He owns this. He does that.
since
He's
we're
just
talking about Logan Paul, I got an idea for you. I've been thinking about this. Like, what about the idea of having like a celebrity championship league, something specific? Like, I don't know, I don't know how this would go, but like, there seems to be a few people coming back here and there.
Mm.
Bad Bunny, Logan Paul, whatever, and they want to have more matches, and you could kind of have them going off against each other, and therefore you don't have. I mean, you sacrifice time on the what do you call it on the card, but at the same time you don't risk anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have like Logan Paul jobbing someone else out kind of thing. So like, no one gets damaged from it. Because as much as I love to
Yeah.
see Logan Paul fight, and to be fair, he has put over like Reigns and whoever else, but like it's just I don't know. I feel like with celebrity wrestling, it's fun, it's a spectacle, and wrestling is and has always been like a kind of like a buffet. But at the
Mm.
same time, I don't like it when they build up a guy and they kill their momentum because of this new guy. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes, like I
Yeah.
thought the stuff with Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville, like it was fun, but I feel like what Sammy's doing right now is a better use of his talents because he's so entertaining. He can do it all. He can be
Right
serious.
on
He
a
can be funny.
microphone. Yeah. He can perform at a high level.
Yeah, that's the
No,
thing as well.
I
You
agree.
forget he's a fantastic wrestler because he spends so much time doing
Doing
promos, getting involved in
antics. Yeah.
stories. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, shit, yeah, he's a really good wrestler, isn't he?
Yeah. And then there's some people that just should never touch a mic, just perform. And then, but yeah,
Yeah,
no, I mean, I think that'd be a good idea to have like a celebrity spin-off type thing,
yeah. I don't know what that
or you
would
make it a
be, but
pay-per-view.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
like think about, I think about it like this, right? There's a lot of celebrities right now that are doing like the exhibition boxing, right? Where like they talking trash on Twitter and then they settle it on there.
Mhm.
That's a perfect avenue for WWE to just scoop up and say, "Hey, listen, I know the two you know may not like each other, but let's make some money and let's put on a show and let's make it a real show. We'll rehearse it, and there you go."
I think it's a great idea. Yeah. We'll
Except
have
for
him,
Jake Paul. Except for Jake Paul. Jake Paul needs to get knocked out somewhere.
bro. Jake Paul is money. He is money. Come on, you can't tell me he wouldn't. He'd be like the best heel of all time if he came in WWE.
Oh my god, if he went to WWE,
Oh,
you know what? You know what? This should be number one goal for WWE. Sign Conor McGregor and sign Jake Paul. Just sign the two of them and
yeah.
just give them microphones and let them do what they do best.
Or finally have KSI Jake Paul because I feel like
Yeah.
that's just dying to happen, and I wish it would happen. It's just driving me nuts. It hasn't happened yet.
Jake Paul's fighting soon, right? He's fighting Tommy Fury finally.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like they're both ducking each other. They're just making us wait on purpose.
Well, the fight was named for I think it's next month, or is it this month? The 24th, 25th, something like that.
That'll be a good fight, but I think probably
He's still
Jake
not
will
fighting
win.
real boxers.
Well, he never will though, because he would get knocked out.
That's the thing. He's fighting ex
Realistically,
UFC fighter, 40-year-old guys.
yeah, realistically, if he would fight another boxer, he would get knocked out. Or it would, I, okay. In fairness to Jake, I think he could maybe be competitive. He could maybe last a few rounds, but it's one thing to box against other people with like similar um experience too. It's another thing to then go into like this whole sport and start fighting some of the most successful people who've been training all their life doing it. It's a very different thing, you know. I mean, like if you take Logan Paul with wrestling, like one of the reasons why he's good, there's a few reasons. One, he grew up as an amateur wrestler. Not many people know this, but he trained as an amateur wrestler. Secondly, he's got some of the world's best wrestlers of all time helping him choreograph and train for every single match. Like that match he had with, was it Roman Reigns? I think in Crown Jewel, whatever. He had like Shawn Michaels helping him, a few other people,
Yep.
and they were like with him for a whole month. Like,
I
I'm
mean,
not taking anything away from Logan. I'm
but
just saying
even
that
his
it's
first
like,
match though, where he busted out the three amigos and then the
yeah,
five-star frog splash. And like some people were like, that's offensive. He shouldn't have done that. And I'm like sitting here, I'm like, this is amazing. He's pulling it off just as good as Eddie would have. And he's bringing excitement. You can't tell me that anytime this man doesn't go into that ring, everyone in the stadium, everyone watching at home is just sitting there like, what crazy shit is he gonna do next?
I agree with
Because he's
that.
got it. Like what he did in Royal Rumble, that top rope thing,
That was
just
insane.
to time that is so hard.
That's true. No, I love what he does. I think I'm just more kind of concerned about the regular competitors because much the same as part-time wrestlers that come in, beat, and go away. It's the same principle. You got to look at like for instance, it's one thing. Oh, here's a Royal Rumble spot. Let's have some fun. Oh, here's a mid-match card. Whatever. Great. Like when Logan was challenging for the title, I was like, what? Like I mean, okay, they had fun. They made the best of it, but like. I think treat it for what it is. It's a spectacle. It's the same as like having the Undertaker matches at WrestleMania. It didn't really matter. Like you knew that he was always going to win, but it was always going to be fantastic as a spectacle. Do you know what I mean? It was always going to be.
I guess you can think of it as like when Pat McAfee comes back or comes on the show.
Yeah,
like you know, it's just fun. Just you're just getting pure entertainment, and I think he's the best announcer I've ever heard.
Yeah,
in WWE. I mean, I love Jerry Lawler. I love what was it?
Jim Ross, man, come on.
I love them, but Pat McAfee brings a realness. He makes it feel like it is reality. Like this is actually really happening.
Well, I think it's always good to have that enthusiasm because he doesn't give a shit as much as the other guys. I think. Well, not to say they don't care, but like they're very much in the system. Whereas he's like kind of on the outside coming in, he's like just having fun, as you say.
Yeah.
And that's why it's more fun because he's like, you just know, like maybe they try and tell him what to do, and he's just like, oh yeah, okay, and then just still does what he wants.
yeah, I'll do that. That's fine. Well, he was in a match too. Who did he fight in a match?
Oh God,
he wrestled somebody. I can't remember.
Oh fuck! Oh my God! It was at WrestleMania as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Austin Theory,
and he put on a great match.
Yeah, I mean it's Austin Theory as well, though. Like Austin makes everyone look amazing.
I gotta give the kid. That kid got talent, and I understand why Vince loved him so much and wanted to push him over so much because he could be the face.
He will be.
Yeah,
there's a few people. Yeah, they're not ready yet. Like. Just yet, but they're amazing. I mean, okay, you got Austin Theory, you got Bron Breakker, right there. Those two, that's your WrestleMania main event in like 5 years.
True.
I don't know why they're spending so much time with Bron in NXT. I guess they feel that he still needs more time, but every time I see him, I'm like, this guy is just made for the main event. Just put him on the fucking main roster already. What are you doing?
And it sucks because Cody, no matter what they want, Cody is pretty much the face right now.
Yeah, but it's look. They'll tell. Okay, wrestling, as you know, as everyone else knows, it's all about storytelling. They'll tell the Cody story, right? And I think ideally it will end with him winning the championship. Then look, he'll have a reign. It doesn't really matter how long it lasts after that, because the it's always the chase that's more exciting than the actual winning. Like once
Oh
you've
yeah,
won, it's like okay, whatever, move on. But reality is because they don't really flip flop anymore with championships, he'll likely be champion for at least a year.
yeah,
And they'll have fun with it. And then I think probably the fans will turn on him at some point, and Cody, I think by that point wouldn't mind because he's happy, he's doing what he loves. Like he's more comfortable as a heel. I think like I know he wants to be a
yeah.
babyface, but like he's more comfortable as a heel, and that's just the reality of the situation. But yeah, moving forward, I mean, it's I think he could really help a lot of guys. I think I mean, fuck, if we're talking about Austin Theory, maybe that's the play, WrestleMania 40 as a main event, Cody Austin
Rhodes
Theory.
Theory, that'd be a good storyline right there. The problem is I can't take Cody seriously on a mic.
Oh, come on, man.
He doesn't sound like a heel. Like he has the
Sure he
Mike Tyson
does.
list. I can't take him seriously. Like Mike
That's
Tyson was
mean.
terrifying because he could kill you. He didn't matter if he talked with the lisp and didn't understand what he was saying.
Well,
Cody,
the whole thing with Cody is that like as a good guy, it's all emotion, which is perfect. As a bad guy, he's kind of got that Miz vibe, just acting like an arrogant prick. He's not supposed to be an intimidating heel. He's supposed to be more of like an annoying, get in your craw kind of. Like, but he's not someone you would take lightly either. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like Miz is better at playing the chicken shit heel. I feel like Cody's somewhere in the middle.
kind of like a Seth Rollins feel. Because Seth Rollins, he was a good heel. I enjoyed him as a heel. And I feel like they tried to make him a heel again, but the fans just love him too much.
See, the thing with Seth, though, is that, I mean, no disrespect to Cody, but Seth is an amazing wrestler. Like,
yes,
so good. That, like, him as a heel, and you buy the fact that he could kick your ass. Like, let's say you put Rollins up against Reigns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Generally, you'd think, okay, Reigns will win this, but you're never 100% sure because it's Rollins. Like, he's a competitor. Which I think changes it. Whereas Cody is more kind of what's the word? Straight to I can't remember the word. Like a basic wrestler, like just straightforward. Like if you're gonna put the prototype of what a wrestler is, that's what it looks like. Do you know what I mean? Just straightforward, to the point, get the emotions, get the crowd going. All that.
We completely went off the rails on WWE.
Oh, dude, I could talk wrestling all day.
That completely took me for a loop. I was like, I have no idea what we're talking about on this. When I get on the show here, we just rolled with WWE.
Well, I've got research on you. I've been researching you. That sounds wrong.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, no, I always do my research on my guests, but I like to kind of just have a more relaxed vibe and approach to it. So, but my shows have always been. It depends on my guest, though. Do you know what I mean? Like some guests it kind of comes across more formal. So I try to step up my game a little bit and try to be a bit more formal and, work with that. Other guests are a bit more laid back and no, it's not. Every guest kind of like portrays who they are. And I do my role, I feel, is to adapt to that, because I don't want to try and I want people to feel comfortable when they come on the show. And often, like, you've got different options. Either you're telling the story of that person and who they are and what they're about, and in that you advertise that person, or you just talk about certain topics, whatever. And I feel that's always when podcast is at its best, when it's natural, when it just flows naturally. Like, I don't know when I decided to do this. I think it was probably within the first year. Like a lot of the time, like I always have notes. Here's a whole sheet of notes about you, right?
Jeez.
And sometimes I won't even look at that, in all honesty. It depends on how the show goes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. What do you know about me? I'm curious what does the internet have to say, because our conversations prior to the show have been very minimal. So I'm curious to see what has the internet told you about me.
Okay, well, the first thing I found is that you have a show called Hip to the Game. Do you still have this show?
Canceled.
It got cancelled. Let's talk about why it got cancelled.
So it's not canceled. It just got rebranded. So
Okay.
Hip to the Game was a great idea. It was hip hop and sports.
Yeah.
And I'm an avid hip hop person. I love all hip hop, except a lot of the new stuff. So it gives me a good counter argument to some of the newer stuff that has come out. I was trying to find a co-host for a while. I said we've actually met on Reddit. I think that's
Yep.
where I actually found your post. And I posted it on Facebook as well. And my buddy, a good friend of mine, Colin, he goes, "I would love to be part of the show. I would love to be your co-host." I'm like, "Sweet." I've had conversations with him. He used to be the bartender at a bowling alley I used to bowl at.
Oh,
And we used
sweet.
to talk all the time. I'm like, "All right, our banter would be good. That's what I want. I want some good back and forth talk."
Hmm.
And I was like, "How do you know? What do you think about hip hop?" He goes, "Oh, I love rap. Blah 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 blah." Okay, we did 2 episodes. This man knows nothing about rap, the history of rap. He knows nothing about classic artists. He knows nothing about the difference between trap beats and break beats. And it turned into me teaching him every week. And I'm like, I can't do this. I don't want to teach you.
Okay.
rap.
What was the first question when you were like, oh, like what was when you were like, oh, this is a problem. He doesn't know jack shit. Like first question that you asked
Oh,
him.
name the top 10 best rap artists of all time, best hip hop artists of all time. And he put NF.
What do you
NF.
mean?
Like, you know who NF is, right? Like, he has like 3 songs that ever got popular. The sad kid that raps about.
Oh,
I
MF
mean,
MF Doom. Is that the guy?
no, NF.
NF. Okay.
NF. Yes. It's sad because like you don't even know. Like, I'm like, I know who he is because I study hip hop, and like
Right.
he what his message is great. It's mental health awareness and
Oh, sweet.
stuff like that, and I respect it. But that's one of the greatest artists in history. I was like, bro, how do you not? MF Doom made my list. Most Def, Talib Kweli, freaking Rakim, like some of the best names. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I can't talk. We can't do this anymore.
I'm
And
confused though, because like you must have like a basic like no. I mean, I'm not I love hip hop and rap. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I could name 10 quite comfortably. I think.
yeah, like some good hip hop, like true
Yeah.
lyricists.
Like Jurassic
Like
5, maybe,
Jurassic
or
5, thank you.
fucking.
Hey, do
I
you
don't
want to start a
know.
hip hop podcast?
No, I don't know that
Fuck.
enough to do that.
At least you have a better ground. So there
But
was
like
an
a bit like okay. Well, for example, that some of the ones that you mentioned there are like mainstream. You know,
Most
like
Def and Talib Kweli, not so much. I mean,
right.
they're legends in the game. Like I say Most Def and Talib Kweli because Black Star was the name of their hip hop group. They came out with one album, and they were immediately nullified as one of the greatest to ever do it in underground hip hop.
Okay.
Now Rakim, yes, because he's kind of the basis for every favorite rapper. I threw Big Pun in there. I threw Big L in there. Mobb Deep was in a notable mention for me. And I'm like, he didn't mention any of these people. He picked Mac Miller too as like the best rapper of all time. And I'm like, dude, like Mac was great. Don't get it twisted. But like, I love Mac Miller. I listen to him every day. But to say he's one of the greatest, you're gonna put him over Wu-Tang. You're gonna put him over,
I was gonna say Melon buries him all the time.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So what happened was we ended up going to record another episode, and I sat here and I'm like, dude, I have nothing to talk to you about this. He's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I can't really have debates and discussions with you on if this is a great album. What did you think about this bar?
Right.
What did you take from the message of this song? I was like, because you're not understanding it from this point of view. You're just listening to it for the beat, as I'm clearly stating. Right? Because like I asked him, why was Mac Miller like your favorite rapper? I was like, what was the best rap line he ever did? And he did the hipster girl, I can make your hipster line. I'm like, that's the worst line I've ever heard in hip hop. I was like, Lil Pump has said better things than that. And,
that's an insult, man. That's a fucking insult right there.
Like, I love Mac, but let's be honest, his lyricism wasn't top notch.
Lil Pump's rapping about like fucking bath salts and some random shit. And
so
I love Lil
Pump. Instead of recording an episode, we sat down and we were like, let's change the direction of this. Let's change the whole show. And now it's called NFA. The NFA pod.
This is the what does it stand for, by the way?
Nobody fucking asked.
Okay.
Yes. And it's exactly what you think it is. It's the podcast that nobody fucking asked. Like we just get, honestly, we get really stoned and we just start having discussions about random things. Like next week's, or like one of our episodes is going to be 90. We had a 90s episode that's going to be dropping.
Oh, sick, man.
And we're just discussing like some of our favorite things and just arguing. Like the last episode, I found out he ate Play-Doh as a kid. And he's like, "You didn't eat Play-Doh?" I'm like, "No, I didn't eat Play-Doh."
What do you mean you don't eat Play-Doh? Like, this is
like next week, it's would you rather questions. Like, would you rather this or that, and then have crazy debates.
Right.
And again, when we're doing this, we're inebriated beyond belief. Like, I have this little pen here that's 98%.
I gotta say, man. Just before we go on, I feel like doing would you rather's on a podcast is like the death of a podcast, man. Come on.
The death of the podcast?
The death of a podcast. I remember, okay, not many people know this, right? But prior to me doing the Christian Reeve podcast, because there's like 195 episodes now, right? So I started it in summer of 2020. Before that, I did a show called, what was it called? The TRJ, some shit. It was with two friends that I met online, right? And we lasted about 7 episodes. And 2 of those episodes were Would You Rathers, and the final episode was a Would You Rather. And it's like, I feel like there's a common pattern with a lot of podcasts that aren't doing well. And no offense, this is just a friendly bit of advice, all right? So don't take this the wrong way. But it's like when you see certain podcasts, like either they've run out of ideas or it's not going well, they start doing Would You Rathers. And don't get me wrong, I've seen some good examples of it used. So it's not like it's a bad idea per se. But it's like, I feel like it's always better when you get to know the people on the show. Like, I feel like the more interesting stuff is about you and your co-host and finding out about.
Oh, no. This is the questions. So I didn't pick like generic Would You Rathers.
Okay.
I picked stuff because my idea of this episode, and we haven't recorded it yet. I just came up with the idea yesterday when I was texting him. And I was coming up with these randomly while I was at work. And we're going to get to know, well, I'm going to get to know him on a different level. Again, I already found out he ate Play-Doh as a child. So
just
that
do a whole
right
show
there
about that,
opens
right
the window to so many questions. And so we're going to be taking it. And the following week, so the good thing about our show, there's no real structure to it whatsoever. It's kind of just, it's stoned thoughts. That's what it is. So we come up with a topic. We get really baked, and then we just talk about it. And sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not. So far, I mean, like we've only done, I think, 2 or 3 episodes. We're averaging like 30 listens a episode.
Damn, all right, fair play, man.
Right off the rip,
that's more than me.
For him never having a show, for us doing like, and I've yelled at him about this because I told, like, for me, for the show, a little bit about me. I do all the producing, I do all the video editing, I do all the sound engineering, I do all that stuff, and I do all the publishing of it. I take care of all of it. I pay for all the stuff. I pay for Zoom. I do all that crazy stuff. All I ask for him, just make TikToks. I don't care about anything else. Just make TikToks.
Yeah.
So he hasn't made a single one yet. So I'm a little happy that we actually have, and we're averaging, 30 right now.
It's decent. Okay. Credit where credit's due. That's amazing right off the bat. Like, to only be a few episodes in, you got 30 listens. Bro, I've been doing the podcast nearly for 3 years, and I struggle to get that many. Like, it's, and I get it. I know how much effort and time goes into it. Like, you bust your eye. Like, this is the thing people don't always realize about podcasting is, like, so much of your time is spent editing, publishing, like all this. Like, this right now is the fun part. Afterwards, I'm gonna sit down and fucking edit this shit, and it's like one thing I start to do now is I like queue it up and like get it like processing and stuff, and then I edit later. Do you know what I mean? So like Monday is generally my podcast drop day, and that's when I'll do my editing. Like, it can fucking wait for now. But it's like, oh man, like that's it gets stuck in my craw. It really does.
I made the mistake my first time doing the podcast. My original podcast was called A to Z Pod. You guys won't find any videos on it. You won't find anything. It's completely taken down.
Okay.
We had a lot of stuff on there that was
spicy.
We could get canceled very quickly. Just the stuff that was discussed. I think we were planning to get a hooker on the show at one point in time. It was
a la Howard Stern style. Jesus,
ridiculous. But so like I made the mistake last time that we were talking about current event stuff because we were like, we want to jump on like
Trends.
yeah. So like I forgot what movie came out. Spider-Man. When Spider-Man came out, we
Right.
came out with an episode the very next day reviewing the movie with
Okay.
full spoilers. So right.
Did you
So like
warn
we're like,
people?
let's get the clickbait. That was our
Yeah.
plan. But the problem, the stress it put on me was I'd be editing the moment I was done recording.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but after like an hour and a half of doing an episode, you're kind of drained. You're just like, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to go relax.
The problem I find is like I love doing the show because I get to talk to all these different people and go, you know, I mean, I've been doing it, yeah, as I say, nearly 3 years now. I've got like a vibe. Like when you said about having no structure before, I was like, that's my idea of a nightmare. I don't know if like the universe has sent you to me to like stress me the fuck out, but like, I have to have structure. I have to have order here. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's a slog. Once you get into it, it's fine. But I think one of the things that kind of drains me is because I'll sit back and watch the show. And like I kind of try to skip through it. I try and remember, you know, like, okay, here's something that was interesting, here's something that's not. But sometimes like I'll leave something. Like, to give you an example, I have another show that I do for my Patreon. Right? It's just basically a podcast. Shout out. It's called Life with Christian Reeve. So go check it out, patreon.com/Christian Reeve. Get the plug in. I haven't edited it yet. The latest episode, I've recorded it. It's just sitting there. And I'm just like, because when you leave it for a few days, you forget about what you spoke about, right? For the most part. Yeah. And then you sit down and then you've really got to sit and like just go for it. So I feel like it's always better to edit straight away because you can kind of remember like, okay, here are the points where I can clip up and stuff. But another problem with doing it all yourself, which I'm sure you can appreciate, is that like you go over what you think is a good clip, what you think will bang, what will be interesting, but it's your perspective because there might be something else in there that would do way better and be really interesting. And it's like, it's I mean, it's all a gamble. Like I've had some clips in the past get, you know, some attention here and there, but for the most part, they get like 0 views. And that's the kind of the real pain of it is like you're working, you're busting your ass and it's going nowhere. And it's tough sometimes. It's brutal. But then you have like these spikes. Like if you go back and look at the views on my show, you'll notice that certain episodes have like tons of views and some episodes have nothing. Or there'll always be some views, but there'll be like noticeable drops. And it's a rough one. It really is.
So it's funny because I still have my the podcast for what's it called? A to Z Pod. I still have all the stuff for YouTube because we did video and we did audio as well. And we had a guy that did all of our social media and he would make TikToks and do all this stuff for us. And I'm looking at it here and I'm like, there was ones that I made and they were like 200 views, 300 views. And then the ones he made, 4,000 views, 5,000 views. And I'm like, yeah, I don't realize. So that's why I went into this thing because what you said is like when you're doing this and you what's it called? You have your own perception and you rewatch it yourself and you try to remember. The best part about being so baked and stoned when you do this is that when I go back to watch it, I don't remember what the hell I said. Because the next day I'll come in and I'm like, holy shit, we talked for 15 minutes about poop. And it's like, okay, well, that's actually kind of funny. And then I'll bring my wife in here too, and we'll sit down and I'll have her listen. Okay, am I crazy or is this actually really funny?
Does she just stand there judging you, going like, "You're an idiot," or "What the fuck are you talking about? What is this?" Or is she congratulations?
That's honestly how I got my wife.
By talking about poop for 15 minutes,
being good looking or being in great shape, having rippling abs or anything. It was just I was funny. I had my pickup lines. The way I explained myself to my wife when I first met her was because after when you start talking with a girl, you start talking about sex at some point, right? You have to. You have to know if you're compatible. And so we were talking about it, and she was like, "Well, how would you describe your sex?" I'm like, "Mediocre dick, A1 head game. That's where I'm at." And she fell right in. She bought it, and now we're been married, and We've been together for how many years, and it's worked out.
What would you say is
Because
the secret
I
to
set I
like
set
keeping
I
it?
set I set the bar real low because most guys are gonna go out there and be like, oh, big dick. Yeah, my dick's huge. I'm gonna fuck the shit out you, girl. I'm like, listen, I'm half Asian. Let's not get too excited about it. I'm not gonna sit here and do the best, but my tongue does wonderful things. I'm from New York. We talk fast, so the tongue
So-
moves quicker. It's a cultural thing.
Oh my god, this is definitely not a PG episode.
Sorry, guys. My bad.
um.
You're the one that asked me, is anything off limits? I'm like,
Oh, it's my fault. Is it? Oh, okay, great.
it's your fault. You need to rail me in. That's the problem. And the best part is I'm not even stoned. So like when I'm stoned, it's even worse. So
You've been with your wife for a few years now. What would you say is like the secret to keeping it interesting, keeping it together, keeping it successful?
keeping a relationship successful. We have a great base of communication. We're our mentality, and it's kind of it's silly, but like one thing that I respect is she's actually had a couple of her friends come up to her and say, hey, Zaga's a great guy. I love talking with him, but he's the kind of guy that you don't want to fuck around and find out. And he'll leave it out there for you to find out if you want to. And we both understand our mentality of we know we know our temper levels. Like I'm half Italian, half Filipino.
Right.
Like we don't want to find out the bullshit. So we just fucking get right to the nitty gritty. If there's a problem, we sit down, we talk about it. But most of the time we try to just live in the moment. We try to enjoy each other's time, and we just try to have fun. One thing actually, what probably helped when I first met her, my best friend had just passed away. One of my best friends, he took his own life. And I was in a real dark place at that time. Not really dark because I was a whore. So okay, we're already off the PG level of your podcast. You want to hear what led up to me meeting my wife? Because we were not supposed to be together. This was not supposed to happen.
Go for it.
My original plan was when my best friend passed, I actually thought to myself, what was the only reason why I wasn't, because he lived in Florida at the time. I was like, what was the reason why I haven't gone down there to meet him or to hang out with him or to just talk to him, to be there as a friend? And my only excuse was work. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm moving down to Florida. I'm going to go back and hang out with my boys. I can't, I don't want this to happen to anyone again, especially my friends. And I want to be there for them. So my plan was, I was single. I was like, I'm going to fuck my way through the entirety of New England. I'm going to hook up with every girl I think I want. I'm going to try it. And I'm telling you, this wasn't PG. And
I have to put a fucking disclaimer at the beginning of this, man. Thank you.
Yes.
Go on.
I'll even do the recording. This episode is not meant for children. Please, if you are a child, turn this off right now. But I ended up paying for Tinder, and I went on a date with this African American woman. And I've never been on a date with an African American girl before. I've never dated a black girl before, and I was excited. I was like, it's a whole. I love black culture. I grew up in the Bronx. Like I grew up around black culture, and I was like, all right, I'll go on a date with this girl. Nothing to do with race. She was just a dry piece of paper. Like you left this piece of paper in the sun for 13 weeks in the Sahara Desert. It was just dried toast, and she was just not. She was so dumb, and she was not entertaining. And I couldn't have a conversation with her. One of the questions she asked me was, what's the difference between a manual car and an automatic car? I'm like, one's manual, the other one does it automatically.
Like, nah, she's trolling. She's trolling.
No, dude, dead sincerity. She went for it. But what does it do automatically? And I'm like, how old are you? I'm 27, 26. I'm like, okay. So on that date, it was on 4th of July. I remember this. And we went to a house party, which was terrible. It was just in the backyard, and all they had was sparklers. And I'm like, this is not a house party on 4th of July. This is atrocious. And then she's like, oh, we're going to a bar afterwards. You want to come with me? And I'm like, she goes, well, I got my friends coming. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, who are your friends? So she shows me a picture, and I see her friend. Her friend's really cute, a little Hispanic girl. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll go. So I call my roommate at the time. Shout out to Xylo Sounds. A little plug in there for him. Check him out on TikTok, Spotify, and he's a music producer. And I hit him up and I'm like, "Yo, do you want to come out to this club? There's a couple girls, whatever." When he gets there, the two girls go into the bathroom. I tell him, "This is so terrible. I'm such a bad person." I'm like, "Hey, listen, I came to the bar with this girl. I don't like her. If you think she's cute and you want to hook up with her, you should go talk to her. I want to talk to the friend."
Oh my God.
I tried to do the old switcheroo on him, and it didn't work. He ended up hooking up with the friend. So I bring her home, and she gives me all the cues that she wants to sleep with me. She's like, "Do you want to come upstairs?" Or she's like, "Oh, I want to watch a scary movie and cuddle." And I'm like, I don't want to do that at all. And literally, she opens the door. She goes, "Do you want to come up?" And I'm like, "Nope." I grab the door and shut it on her. She walks away. Literally, she hasn't even walked 4 feet from my car, and I open up Tinder. There's my wife. I use my super like from Tinder on there because I paid for it. And then the next day, me and her started talking, and now 3 years later. And then apparently for her, she had just got out of a relationship, and she was trying to have a hot girl summer and just fuck around with different guys. And I was the only guy she hooked up with that summer. I ruined it. I didn't even ask her out. I told her, I was like, we're dating now, right? Like, this is what's happening.
How long
And
did
ever
it
since
take
then-
before you were like, "Oh yeah, we're dating"?
Well, we talked online for about 2 weeks. Like,
Oh,
we
man.
talked on like FaceTime, and we talked stuff like that. And I planned a whole weekend to come out because she wouldn't drive out to me, which makes sense. If you're a female listening, don't drive out to random strangers in random towns.
Yeah,
That's
of course.
dangerous. We don't do that. What point in case Ted Bundy? Just don't do those things.
Yeah.
And so I got a hotel room. I went to the town she was in. Had put the whole weekend up there, and it was the first night, which doesn't really say much because within 5 minutes of us seating each other, we went into the hotel room, did the dirty, and then we went to dinner. And then I told her we're dating now, and that's what happened.
Just laying down the law, I guess.
Yeah, I
This is how it
mean,
is.
I literally said, I was like, "Yeah, we're dating. I hope you're okay with that." She was like, okay." I'm like, "Yep, no, it's happening. It's there." And like I said, 4 years later, now we're. Don't even get me started on my engagement plan that got completely destroyed. When I proposed to her, oh my God, dude, it was 5 plans that got ruined, back to back to back.
Okay, you have to tell
Repeatedly.
this. You have to tell us now.
I'm
You
telling
brought
you
it
now. Oh,
up.
God.
You have to go. You brought go.
So we had planned. It was what year was it? We got married last year, so it was 2021.
Congratulations.
We had a plan to go to Montana to go hiking, and there was this beautiful mountain with like these beautiful sunsets and scenery. And my wife very much, she loves like all the stones, like all like the jades and quartz and moonstones and all those kinds of things. So I made the idea in my head that we're going to Montana. This is the perfect place to propose to somebody. If you don't take advantage of this beautiful scenery to propose to somebody, you're dumb. And I was like, she sent me before I proposed to her, she would send me engagement rings. So I always had an idea of what to get her. It was not to give me the insinuation of I want to get married, but if you're going to do it right and get this kind of ring because I don't want to hate the ring you get me. Luckily for me, she's not a diamond girl. She hates diamonds for good cause. They kill people. People literally die in the process of getting those.
Yeah.
Right. So she sent me one that was a Montana sapphire. And I'm like, ding! Little light bulb went off. And I'm like, Montana sapphire, Montana. Good idea. So I get the ring. I had this whole plan to do to go on a hike. I was going to let her friends know the day of. I was going to do all these things. And 2 weeks before we leave for Montana, there's wildfires in America. And Montana's on fire. So the trip gets canceled. Now she's all upset because one, it was it was a vacation that we had planned and we were so excited. And on the flip side, there's me panicking like, what the fuck do I do now? And so I'm like, all right, you know what? I told her, I was like, we already took the time off from work. Let's go to New York. Let's spend a day in New York City. We'll go do all the sightseeing stuff. Let's go to the World Trade Center. Let's go to Central Park. Let's go to this museum. And I'm thinking in my head, all right, I was a New York kid when 9/11 happened. The World Trade Center was very important to me. It had a lot of emotional things. I have an immense fear of heights. I don't like heights. I was like, let's go to the top of the World Trade Center and I'll do it up there overlooking New York City. It'll be a beautiful scenery. It's awesome. So we go to New York. We're walking around. We're having a good time. Finally get to the point where we're like, all right, let's go to the World Trade Center. Now my heart's racing. I'm getting all nervous. I know what's coming. We get out of the cab, and she looks right up. Oh, this is where my friend got proposed to by that asshole. Now, I'm not saying names for reasons, but her friend got proposed to by a guy. They were engaged. He cheated on her. I couldn't even think. I think he cheated on her more times than there are U.S. presidents.
Jesus.
So, yeah, and I'm like, I can't be associated with this man and propose to her in the same place he did this. So we get up to the top. My legs are shaking. I'm feeling light. I'm like, I'm afraid of heights. She goes in the bathroom. I call her best friend up, and I'm like, she ruined it. She says, like, this person got proposed to here. I don't know what to do. And she was like, I'm sure you'll figure it out. All right, I'm trying to think in my brain. I'm in New York. It's happening today. I'm not taking this chance. We're going to go to Bryant Park. Bryant Park is a beautiful park in New York City. Beautiful, again, nice greenery, buildings around, whatever. We take a cab to there, and I play it off. I'm like, oh, I want to check this out. I haven't been to Bryant Park in years. Let's just stop off there and we'll walk around a little more. She goes, fine. We go there. Oh, sorry. Before that, I was going to do it at dinner. I was trying to find a nice Italian restaurant. No nice Italian restaurant had any seatings. We sat at a shitty Italian restaurant. I'm like, that one's out the window. So now I'm like, Bryant Park. We get to Bryant Park. We walk up the stairs, over the hill, and boom, there's a fucking concert with like 60,000 people there.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, like, fuck. I was like, all right, we're going to go to Times Square. I'll do it. It's so corny. It's so played out, but fuck it. I'm just going to do it there now. And trying to walk to Times Square. And I was like, all right, let's go to Times Square. I want to hit up one shop or whatever. I think the MLB shop was there. I used some excuse. So we start walking towards there. And she's like, you know what? My feet really hurt. I'm getting really tired. Can we just head home? Now, Grand Central was the opposite direction. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I have nowhere to do this. If I can't do it in Grand, I'm not going to do it in Grand Central because it's dirty. Grand Central Station is disgusting. I was like, if I go to we can't go to Times Square. She doesn't want to walk that way. So she was like, can we just sit down? We're literally outside of a Shake Shack in some side street. And then I just get down on my knee and I'm just like, I want to do this all day. Here it is. And I get down and her first response is not the typical, oh my God. It's, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm just like sitting there with this in my hand. I'm like, trying to ask you to marry me, I guess. But I handed it to her. Then she started crying and then said yes and everything like that. As we're walking back to the train station now, I told her my original plans for everything. And so she calls the friend that she referenced earlier about, oh, this is where my friend got proposed to by that asshole. She calls her and she goes, oh, it wasn't the World Trade Center. That was in Chicago at the Sears Tower. Dude, my face, I almost took the ring back. I was like, wait, what? Are you kidding me? Are you serious right now? That you didn't even have the right building, not the right city, not the right state, not the right time zone. I was like,
oh my God.
But yeah, no, I was like, that's it. I'm not planning anything ever again because clearly it's just going to get squashed.
Well, speaking of planning, you sent this to me in the original messages. You said that you were getting married in Salem, Massachusetts on Friday the 13th. But then you said earlier that you got married last year. Or so in 2021. So what happened?
So we're still doing that wedding. That wedding is still happening in Salem, Massachusetts on Friday the 13th. If y'all listening, come by for a party, yo.
Before we go on, why would you get married on Friday the 13th, bro? Like, come on. You know,
I mean, so Salem is known. Salem, I don't know if you know much about Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But I mean, for those who don't know, it's Salem witch trials. It's a lot of ghostly. It's like Halloween town.
City of Halloween love, clearly.
Yes. I mean, I have a tombstone tattooed on me over here. I have Michael Myers and pumpkins, and I literally have Ouija boards and gravestones all the time. I mean, we love, witches and ghosts and all that fun stuff. I've always loved that kind of stuff, and so does she. So Salem was our first vacation we ever took together. So we decided to book it there because we go multiple times a year. It's our favorite place to go. and it's at a haunted hotel. And then
Okay.
Friday the 13th was, we're in a spooky town. Why wouldn't we just take advantage of this the scariest date that people are afraid of? But back on what I was saying, like, reason we didn't want to wait 2 years for the tax breaks we would get for being married. So, like, a little back, like, I run a car dealership. I'm the sales manager of the sales department at a car dealership, and I make decent money, but like last year I owed like $6,000 in taxes, and I'm like, this sucks. The house is in her name and everything, so she gets all the tax breaks. She's prior military, so more tax breaks, and I'm like, we're like, why don't we just do a court wedding, take advantage of the tax credits, and then we'll do our actual wedding in front of all our friends and family and do all that stuff.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a logical reason behind it all. So yeah, we did that.
Yeah, but you're still not selling me on getting married in like a super scary place on a super scary day. Like I guess you just got balls still. That's good.
I mean, a little more personal about me is like, so like I guess I'll say it out loud. I'm part of there's a religion here. I'm gonna say religion because it's not necessarily religion. They don't believe in gods and stuff like that. But I'm part of the Satanic Temple, and I know I just blew you back. Your brain just went, what? It's not necessarily. I don't believe in Satan. Nobody in the church, quote unquote, believes in Satan. They're seen by the government as a church because they don't pay taxes, whatever, and they're a nonprofit essentially. It's more of an activist group. So I don't know if you're familiar with some of the politics stuff that's going on in America right now. But they were trying to, nobody really. I live here and I don't even care enough about it. But they were trying to ban abortions.
Yeah,
in a lot of states.
Fucking crazy.
It's ridiculous.
That.
Yeah, like it's asinine. But the Satanic Temple, if you are a member, you can seek religious freedom to do that because it's against the religion to ban that. So when I saw what they were doing for people, and using somebody like Satan as a mascot to kind of stick it to the man, I was like, I'm interested in this. And I watched a whole documentary on it. I visited the actual headquarters. I asked a lot of questions. And I became a member. And I learned that 99% of the people there are actually atheists. We don't believe in God. And I don't know your religious beliefs, but most atheists, we don't get around and hang out together and be like, yeah, we don't believe in God together. Sweet. Like you think about it, like there's church, everyone gets together to say, oh yeah, we all believe in God.
Let's celebrate our blasphemy. Woo!
Right? But like there's not atheists don't get together and like, talk about being an atheist. So it was kind of a cool group. And to know everyone's all different parts of the LGBTQ, all different kinds of backgrounds. One of the guys I was talking to was an accountant. Another person I was talking to was a doctor. And I'm like, wow, it's just the broadness of this was really cool. And to see people want to do things the right way for people and to kind of challenge the establishment that is the U.S. government head on, because there's so many people in the United States that just say, oh, we're a God-loving country or whatever that is.
Mm.
No, we're not. We're a poly-religious nation where you have Muslim, Judaism, Buddhism, Islam, Catholicism, Christianity. There's so many different kinds here. America is the melting pot, right? There's so much diversity about America. To say that we're a Christian nation, it always bothered me. And if I ever saw like the 10 Commandments on government property, I'm pissed because you're pushing religious beliefs that I don't personally believe in onto me. And that's one of the things that I love about the Satanic Temple is they'll call you right out on the higher ups, the people that are important. They'll do stuff like they tried to put a 7-foot Baphomet statue next to the 10 Commandments anytime it was placed on government property. And when their argument was, we're a poly-religious country or state or city or whatever it is, there's no reason why Christianity should be put on government property and shown as the right rules or the right things to believe in. But yeah, but me following that, a lot of these guys, we go like horror movies and stuff like that because that's just our MO. Yeah. So being in the spooky stuff, and I used to be a ghost hunter as well. I'm still kind of a ghost hunter.
Speaking of which, one of the things that you said to me in the original show notes is that you've been haunted by a ghost for most of your life.
Yeah,
Tell me about
it's
that.
great. It's fun. There was an episode of A to Z Pod. Again, it's unfortunate I deleted it, but in the middle of the video, I used to have a book. I used to have books and stuff behind me back here, and randomly I was talking about something on the show, and a book just flew off the shelf towards me, and I'm still talking. I just paid no mind to it. I was like, it's stage face, right? I'm trying to not break
Yeah,
character
yeah.
and stay focused when I'm talking. My co-host just goes, "What the fuck was that?" I'm like, "I don't know," and I'm afraid to look around and see what it was. And he was like, "Dude, a book just flew off your shelf." I'm like, "Yeah." When I was a kid, I apparently my house, the house I grew up in, was haunted.
Right.
My father came down and so I grabbed me for dinner one time, and he heard me. I was like 4 years old, 3 years old, something like that. And I was running around, laughing and playing. My dad's like, "Hey, come on, it's time for dinner," and I wasn't listening. And he came down, and he was like, "It's time for dinner. Come on, you got to come up." And I'm like, "Where'd the doggy go?" My dad's like, "What? What? We don't have a dog." And I'm like, "Well, no, there's the doggy and the old man." And my
Oh
dad's
my
like,
god.
Go upstairs, please. Please go upstairs." Um, and then yeah, so I had that experience as a kid. I've had there's just so many things. I mean, there was a time just recently, my wife and I were on the couch, we're watching TV, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna use the bathroom." So I pause the show. She goes in the bathroom, and she has the bathroom door closed, and I'm on my phone, just like you do, just scrolling on Facebook, whatever. And I hear her blatantly say, "Hey, babe." And my two dogs were on the couch, their heads turned up and looked. I looked. She didn't say anything. Something mimicked her voice. And like when she opened the door and came out of the bathroom, I was like, "Did you say something?" She's like, "No, I was pooping." And I'm like, she's like, "Why would I talk to you while I'm pooping?" And I'm like, we heard your voice. Like, me and the dogs heard your voice. Yeah, the dogs, that's why I knew I wasn't crazy, because the dogs had went like that. Like they heard their mom. And yeah, I have books. I have like I'm a big Logic fan, so I have Logic's books and pop figurines. It'll push stuff off of there all the time. I got Spider-Man pops over here and stuff. Stuff will just fall off randomly. I'm definitely haunted. My house isn't haunted. Um, I've had sleep paralysis where I've opened my eyes and there was something in my face and I couldn't see what it was. I didn't know what it was, and I just couldn't move. And yeah,
I suffer from that too. It's fucking terrifying.
have you ever seen something like and it looked like it was holding you down?
Yeah, one time I was in Estonia. I was living there for a few years, and it was weird. Like normally when I have sleep paralysis, I just dream that of seeing myself kind of thing on the bed or whatever, trying to wake up, and then I go through like stages of like jolting, trying to. Normally it'll be a sense of like weird weight because in dreams like everything is weird. Like if you try to run, you can't run properly. If
Yeah.
sometimes you feel like your head is like slipping down, you can't move your head, and you're trying to like thrust it out, and I'll have stuff like that. But there's one time I dreamt there was a woman, haggard woman, black hair. They call it the night hag. But this woman kind of resembled like, have you ever seen The Ring? It was like
Yep.
that, and she basically was like on me, choking me, and I was just like that. And then I woke up, and it was like typical like out of a horror movie, like just sweating everything. And that's the
Yep.
only time that's ever happened. But yeah, I suffer from it too, man. It fucking sucks.
Get
Um,
yourself some sage, some Palo Santo, some salt.
But
Um,
I got to push you a little bit more. Like, why do you think you're being followed? Like, do you have any logic behind this? Do you know why this might be the case? Like, angry
uh,
soul, or like maybe like a
yes.
family thing? Like,
No, I mean, when I was a kid, so when I was a kid, the old man and the dead, the old man and the dog. So the previous owner that lived there actually died in the house.
right?
He was peeling an apple or something like that, and when he fell down the stairs. He broke his
Oof.
neck, and the knife that he was peeling the apple with stabbed the dog and killed him in the basement. Which is
Oh my
why
god.
I saw him in the basement. That's where my father and I, my room was, and my father was. So that's that's how I first got into it. Now, as an adult, I mean, because obviously having that experience as a child, it always intrigued me. And it's funny because I get this question a lot, and I'm sure any listener out there is probably going to think, how does he not believe in God and hell and all this stuff, but believes in ghosts? There's a scientific reasoning behind my thought process is that in science, energy never disappears. It just
Right.
transfers. Energy does not dissipate. It transfers. Now, the thing scientists have found out that when you die, there's a piece of energy that lingers for a little bit and it just disappears. It just goes away.
Mm.
And they don't understand where it goes because it has to go somewhere because it's energy. And that's the spirit, right? That people talk about, quote unquote, the spirit.
Could be, yeah.
So my thought process is that energy that you carry with you is your spirit, what are your life source, your energy, which I believe is just another form of being, like a fourth dimension being that we don't understand yet. Again, my thought process is aliens.
Oh, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Speaking of which, hopefully this show will air at some point in time because U.S. is shooting down aliens in the last 2 days. Shot down 3 UFOs in the last 2 days. So
Where was this? What happened? Yeah. I heard this happened in the UK. It was on the BBC News, Sky News, apparently.
Yo, okay, completely off topic here, but alien 3 UFO sightings in the United States, and the government has shot all 3 of them down. Don't know if they're spy balloons from China or what they are, but
Could be.
the fact that the government's not saying what it was, they were so quick to say, yes, this is a Chinese spy balloon, and not saying what these are makes me believe it's aliens. So, intergalactic war, here we go.
But, okay, if you're an alien race, like what would be the benefit of invading Earth? I mean, we're such a primitive
Resources.
planet. Well,
Resources.
okay, yeah.
Water is a scarce resource in the universe, right? We only have found maybe 20 planets that could resemble Earth's atmosphere and have water. And then the other thing would be obviously our precious metals, gold, silver, stuff like that. Radiological stuff, plutonium, uranium,
Okay.
granite. There's so many things on this planet that could be resourced, and you see it in what was it, Independence Day.
So we've established the why and the how. I have a bit of a question for you here.
What's up?
Do you think that the introduction of aliens into our kind of collective consciousness or just the existence of aliens, do you think that could be the thing that finally pulls the human race together?
No, absolutely not.
No, you still think we'll be fighting each other?
It would be so divided, 100%. The whole world would crumble.
Okay, why? Let's
Religion.
explore that.
Religion would be the reason why the world would crumble.
Okay, but if it was proved that aliens exist, we would have, for the most part, most of us would have to accept that. Now, I get what you're saying. Religion would some people would be in denial. I get that. I understand.
Rapture, this and that. This is God's doing. So again, I lived in Florida. A lot of crazy religious people down there, like radical. I'm not saying people who are religious are crazy, but like radicalized. Like I feel Jesus running through my body, that kind of.
Yeah, right. I get it.
Have those people, and they're all throughout the world. And again, because we're so separated as a culture, as a race, as a human race, that we're so separated by these religious beliefs, we forget core values, and we let these archaic supernatural depictions be represented in a different way, and people are going to stick to their convictions of that this is what is true and what's not. There will be massive fall of government because you're going to have all the superpowers in the world are going to argue of who's going to have the say in what, right? What's going to stop North Korea from shooting at them versus the U.S. from shooting? The U.S. is going to be like, no, don't do that. North Korea's going to be like, we want to do that. Then China might do that. Then Russia could say, no, we are going to press the button. And then, everyone's going to, it's not going to be a collective unified thought on it.
I get what you're saying, but I feel like they would have to come together.
You would think
do you know what I mean?
Like you would try to give the benefit of the doubt, but it's proven that human life is not valued in all government.
Of course. I get that.
That's a true statement, is that human life itself, day-to-day living, is not valued to the superpowers that run the world. That money, power, and decision making is the thing that makes these people tick and go. And I don't think, because we've had, I mean, you can just look at a nuclear war, right? It's consistently threatened, consistently feared, because we know that not if, it's when it will happen, right?
Do you think it's when? You don't think it's a question of if?
No, it's when it will happen. Why else have it? If you don't have it, if everyone just agreed to destroy all of it, and we had proof that all of nuclear weapons were decommissioned, destroyed, gone, done, never happening again, yeah, I believe that it would never happen.
Okay, hypothetical. What would be the point? Because obviously, if we would bomb each other, then that's the end of the human race, right there.
For the most part, I mean, there's been so many studies ran on these things, and so many simulations
Right.
that have been ran. And when you do this, yes, there's a majority of the populations would be destroyed. Now, one, if that does happen, it's last man standing. Whoever's last man standing runs the world.
Of course.
That's why it will happen, because somebody in their crazy brain, and again, it's going to take a crazy leader to decide that this is going to happen, that we can run the world if we just do this. I have little faith in governments, and I don't trust them for anything. There's propaganda. They tried to control us and keep us in the dark with something. Like, let's be honest, we all know there's aliens out there. Like, we all know that it's true. Like, there's more stars than there are grains of sand on the earth. You can't sit here and tell me that the probability of it not being out there, it's,
Well, here's
I've
another
also
question
seen it with my
for
own
you.
eyes.
You've seen UFOs?
Dude, I can't. I will never, to the day I die, I will never sit here and say that like it was false, it was a lie. I saw it. I saw 3 different occasions where I could not explain it. It didn't make sense. And now seeing a lot of this stuff on TikTok, it scares the hell out of me, because it's very similar to what I saw with my own eyes.
Okay, paint me a picture. Run me through one of the sightings that stands out.
The most blatant one I ever saw was when I lived in Florida, I used to volunteer at an aquarium. They actually made a movie about the aquarium called The Dolphin Tale, about a dolphin that lost her tail winter. So Winter's Tale. And or Dolphin Tale was the movie. And we had to do turtle nesting is what it was called. So we'd walk on the beach late at night, somewhere between 10 to like 2 o'clock in the morning, like about 4 hours. We'd hang out on the beach, walk up and down. Because what turtles would do, they would go up on the beach, they dig a hole, they lay their seeds, they bury it up, and they go back in the water. Our job was to redig the hole up, count the eggs, put a fence around it, so when the eggs hatch, we can make sure they get to the ocean and not go into a street or get picked off by a pelican or a raccoon. Right? Doing my good here. It was me and like 2 other people, and because we were always teams, because walking around on a beach late at night, a little dangerous. So, me and 2 other people, and we're walking down the beach, and we heard this weird humming noise, and we didn't know what it was. And we turned around and looked back on the shoreline, and we saw this light, and it was spinning like this, spinning in a circle. And it was coming towards us. And we're like, what the fuck? It, no joke, flew over our heads, kicked up the sand. And I remember the sand kicked up, it hit my back, the back of my head, and it hurt like hell, because this thing was flying fast and it was flying low. And it just flew. And no joke, we're sitting there, we're like, what the fuck was that? 10 seconds later, 2 F-16s are wicked fast, flying behind it. No reports in the news, no reports from any police, government, not like, it was dead silent about it. And that was it. That was I saw it with my own eyes. It didn't make sense. I can't say it was a disc shape, but it was a circle that had a light going around it like that. Could have been part of a bigger thing. It was nighttime, but why it was spinning and going like that, and it made a humming noise. Didn't sound like a plane, didn't sound like a jet. And yeah, that scared the shit out of me.
Why do you think the government chooses not to acknowledge that it's aliens and admit it to the public?
Mass panic.
That's what I would say as well. But like, do you think really that we would just lose our fucking minds? That'd be it.
I mean, at this point, I know you're overseas. So the U.S. here, they released last year a bunch of CIA documents that were about UFOs and stuff like that. And now all of a sudden there's been more UFO sightings in the last 6 months than there has been in the last 10, 15 years, due in part to social media. I think at this point, if they just told us, we'd be like, it's about time. I don't think we'd be so shocked anymore. But I think it's just the initial fear of, immediate cultural collapse, because people would panic. They would start looting. They would build doomsday bunkers. I'm pretty sure you would see stuff like that.
Okay, let's suppose aliens are real. And because there's been documented sightings since the 60s officially, but then of course we've seen like paintings and stuff where I remember there's that famous painting from like the 1700s, and there's quite clearly something that resembles like a UFO in the far right corner.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so realistically we're probably looking at maybe hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. Why do you think aliens have not, I don't know, blown us up, invaded, made contact?
You want my honest opinion?
Yeah, of course, man.
This is my belief system, because I don't believe in God and all that stuff.
Okay.
And I grew up Catholic, just so everyone knows, just so we're clear. I went to Catholic school. I learned the whole thing. I found out something didn't sit right with me, and I went and learned all these other religions. I learned Judaism, Buddhism, all those things too, and I studied them. I read the Quran. I read the Torah. And one thing that I realized was that, it's all core beliefs, and I think the Bible was just a collection of historical documents. But I'm also a believer that there's no way that the Egyptians built that shit with logs and sticks and hammer and chisel. And
what was it someone said the other day to me? Just interject for 1 second. Mm-hmm. Someone said to me the other day, "Oh, the pyramids. Yeah, no, that was for recharging. People think it's a tomb, but no, it's actually an energy source."
So there's a weird thing that scientists don't understand and archaeologists don't understand. It emits energy, and they don't know why.
The pyramids
it just emits energy. They don't understand why.
Interesting.
Because you got to realize that the top of it was capped with gold. I think it was diamonds and gold. It was gold plated and stuff like that. And you look at Egyptians too, and you see the importance of gold. Right. Now, what is the importance of gold in today's society?
Well, money is measured against gold, isn't it? So technically, because
money doesn't. Electrical conduction.
All right. Okay.
Gold is the best thing for electrical conduction. It's light. It's malleable. It's in every computer chip. It's in our microphones. It's in our keyboards, our laptops. Now, granted, it's small, minuscule amounts. There's actually a guy on TikTok that takes old computers, melts everything down, and collects all the gold from it, and sells it.
Genius.
So it's really crazy to think how much gold is in everyday stuff. Your cell phone, it's batteries, or not batteries, but like wires and stuff like that. We use copper because it's cheaper to get. But gold's a better conductor. So you see the history of Egyptians and the importance of gold. Well, why? Because my opinion is it was clearly made important to them by these beings. Now, the reason why I think they haven't come back. So you look at history, right? People talk about evolution, right? I'm sure you heard the term, the missing link, right? The missing link where men went from caveman, Neanderthal to man that we are today. They have every skull leading up to and every skull leading after. They don't know where that mix is. My thought process is that higher being, that creator of man, we're just no different than a science experiment, in my opinion. Maybe these ain't this extraterrestrial people, they used us to mine gold, to mine these things. And when it came down to it, they realized maybe we're kind of just too dumb to do what they need us to do. So you hear in ancient Greek mythology, ancient Roman mythology, Egyptian mythology, Sumerian mythology of demigods, right? Gods came down from the sky to fuck humans, and then there was this little half human, half god baby. Well, as we've learned, is that a lot of these writings do recollect a lot of history, but we just pick and choose what we want to believe is true history and not, right? Like we saw the Homer's Tale of the Odyssey. People didn't believe in the city of Troy until they fucking found it. Like, it's all fake. And then they find Troy. That's the only part of the book that's real. So right? When you look at ancient history too, and it's like, well, there's a reason they documented these things and said these things, and I don't think it was just by mere coincidence. So my thought process is aliens came down, they saw what we had, they realized we could use these fuckers to do work for us. Just like why wouldn't we take advantage of people that do shit for us now, right? That's why there's child labor laws in place in most regular countries. Why? Because you could use children to do work for you for a little dime. Like, oh, if we just give them food and water, they'll build us these giant conductors. Sure. But then I feel like they thought we were kind of dumb. They slept with us. They created a whole what's it called? New race of humanity.
Right.
And because there is instances, and scientists said that there's theories that Neanderthals and normal humans nowadays lived side by side together. How did that happen?
Yeah, this is the thing that interests me, is how the Neanderthals just completely disappeared, even though arguably they were the superior race, like physically and
At the time,
everything.
yeah. Because if you think about it, I'm going to ask you a straight up question. Do you think you can beat a monkey one-on-one in a fight? Like
no,
a chimpanzee?
it would just destroy me.
An ape, sorry, not a monkey.
It would kill me. Yeah,
exactly.
No
Neanderthals were pretty much apes.
Yeah,
they had longer arms. They had long hands. Like, how did we shrink our hands and change the way our dynamic was set up? Why we go from hunched over to just all of a sudden we're standing straight up? So that's my thought. And then there's more thoughts that I don't think our race of people are actually from this planet. Or
whoa, back up a second. You think we're from another planet?
So I actually think we're from Mars, and there's a reason why.
Okay.
So think about it, right? So so I saw a TikTok on this, and this made my brain just explode because I was extremely stoned when I watched the TikTok. That's usually how this happens. But I think it was actually Joe Rogan. I think this is on Joe Rogan's podcast.
There we go. For one stone to another.
I want you to think about this, though, right?
Sure.
When we get older, or as we just grow and we get older, we have knee pains, we have back pains naturally. Mm-hmm. Like, this is natural. Like, when you get old, it's like, oh, your back's going to hurt no matter what. Why is that? Well, if you look at Mars, the gravity is a little bit less than it is on Earth. That would eliminate all back pains and knee pains and all that shit, right? Because our body should evolve to our species should have evolved to withstand. You don't see these kinds of things happen in random animals, right? Where they're just naturally in pain because it just happens that way. Well, it's because gravity creates a pressure on our backs. Well, in Mars, the gravity's less. That releases your back pain. We go out in the sun too long, we got to worry about getting sunburned, sun cancer, all these things. Well, guess what? In Mars, the sun quality isn't as powerful. You're not going to burn when you go out into the sun. There was a couple other things too, and I forgot what they were. But just those two as main examples. He had a whole list of them. Like, if you just put a human on Mars from birth, that human's going to live an a very strong, healthy life, not a problem. And that's where I think that you kind of see those kinds of things.
Yeah. Do you know, when I was getting ready for this podcast today, I was not expecting the different directions that it's gone. But this is why I love fucking doing podcasts, man. Because you never know.
Ghosts, Satan,
fucking crazy, man. Jeez. Oh, I've got so many questions for you.
I told you I had a number. I could talk about anything. I have so many goddamn stories. I think I said that to you in the thing.
You have to come back on the show in the future, man. You absolutely have to. I'd love to come on your show as well, I must say.
Absolutely. You just have to smoke first. That's a prerequisite.
I don't smoke, man. I'm clean living.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. As long as you're inebriated in any sense, get yourself a nice pint. We'll go. It's cool.
I don't drink either. I'm clean living by choice.
God bless. Reasons. God bless. Hey, listen, I don't drink either. I just smoke.
Oh yeah, same as my dad. Really, he's like that as well. I think it's good, but to each their own. I never begrudge anyone for it. I think as long as you're in control of shit, that's the main thing, man.
I only smoke because I have ADD and it helps.
Oh really? Okay, interesting. Yeah. Can you expand on that a little bit, like how it helps you?
Everything moves a little slower, and I can actually focus. It just hones in my focusing. I mean, you've seen it with video gamers for years, right?
Hmm.
Like you smoke pot and you play video games, right? That's in the MO with video gamers. That's just like because you'll dive into something for 6-7 hours and you won't even pay mind to it. So I took that mindset and I was just like, well, if I smoke, because I used to never smoke pot, it was never my thing, and then it became legal, and I was like, well,
Why
because I
not?
mean, when you're a kid, I'm sure you've drank before in the past,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I used to hate the way I felt being drunk because if I drink,
It's
I
worse.
can either black out, you puke, whatever it was, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I also had stomach ulcers, so like I had a stomach ulcer rupture, and I had to go to the hospital. I had internal bleeding, great time,
Yeah.
all from drinking. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna stop that. And then I smoked one of these little pen things, and I realized like, wow, I'm a normal. Like this is me sober, by the way. This whole conversation is me sober, and that's the scary part. It mellows me out a little bit more.
Right.
I talk at a normal rate of speech, not lightning fast. And yeah, no, it just calms. It keeps me focused and keeps me chill, and plus it makes life way more enjoyable, in my opinion. Because life,
No, I don't
the world's
begrudge
a
you,
dark
man.
place. So
No, I feel you, man. I can't. I don't have anything bad to say about weed. I mean, I smoked it a lot when I was a teenager. The
yeah,
only reason, to be honest, that I really ever stopped was that I took a break from it, and then my tolerance stopped, which happens naturally, a bit like
yeah,
alcohol consumption as well. And then I would get high too quickly, and I just didn't like how I felt. It wasn't like the fun monging sensation that I'd felt years prior, where I was able to still do stuff.
yeah.
This was like too much, so I was like, okay, and I kept drinking, and then there was various reasons for me quitting drinking. It was very recent. It's like I've actually been like 2 months sober now, so it's woo.
Congrats, that's awesome,
um
dude.
thanks, man. I wasn't an alcoholic or anything, but it got to a bad point, and I chose to rectify. That was my decision to do that. But then I started like sitting down and actually just doing research about it, like because everyone knows that alcohol is worse than weed. Like
Oh yeah,
it's just science, man.
it's
Like it
terrible.
fucks your liver up. It, as you say, like the worst thing I ever had with weed is I sometimes felt like I was going to pass out. That was the worst thing. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah, I never had that.
really. Well,
No.
again, to each their own. Like I never actually did, but that's really the worst thing that could ever really happen. Because
Yeah,
it's natural. It's as long as you don't consume too much, you're all right.
yeah.
Obviously, there are issues. Sometimes it has been linked to things like psychosis and stuff, but I think that's more to do with like excessive consumption as
Yes.
opposed to. Do you know what I mean? If you're like keeping it
Hmm.
at a kind of moderate level, it's okay. Whereas
See,
alcohol, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're drinking a lot or a little. It still fucks you up either way.
yeah, and that was one thing I loved about weed is that I treat it like it's a lot of people at the end of a long day of work, they come home and they have a beer.
Right.
Well, I hit my pen once or twice, and then I'm just chilled. I'm gonna be hungry in like 25 minutes. The food is gonna taste phenomenal. Whatever
Interesting.
movie I'm watching is gonna be way better than what I thought it was. Like it's so funny because before I smoked pot, I
Does that not
loved
give you
stoner
any?
movies.
Does that not give you like an inaccurate view of things though? So that when someone goes, "Oh, did you watch this movie?" and you're like, "Yeah, it's fucking amazing," and then you watch it a little bit sober, and you're like, "Oh no, this isn't good. I guess I was just too
Yeah,
high."
sometimes. I mean, McDonald's is immediately better when you're stoned. So
Oh, McDonald's is
it's not
always
like it's
good,
good
man.
food, but no,
But
like I mean, when I was younger, I used to watch the stoner movies, like Step Brothers, Super Bad, all those
yeah,
kind of movies that came out back then, and I loved them, and I thought they were great. But I realized how much better they were when you were stoned. I was like, wow, it's made for people in this predicament, and it's like, wow, it became that much better. And my laughs were more genuine and heartfelt laughs, and same thing with music. Like when I listen to music and I'm stoned, I don't hear the music, I feel the music, man. Like I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it opens. There's so much to the human brain that we don't understand. And if this was put on this earth for this reason, and we can consume it, and we can eat it, and we can smoke it, and it doesn't kill us, there's a reason why, right?
mad. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I agree. I still puzzles me that alcohol is the main thing that's
How
pushed
it's
that's
legal,
legal. Yeah, it should
the fact
totally
that
be
it's legal.
illegal. Like it's just,
How is
it's
cigarettes legal?
yeah.
There's literal tar in it. There's rat poison.
Is there really rat poison in it?
Yeah, well, arsenic or not? It's arsenic.
Tiny amount, yeah.
Yeah, but there's shit in there that's literally kills you.
What are your thoughts on
proven.
vape? What are your thoughts on vape pens? Vaping.
I like vape because it's more the shit that nicotine doesn't kill you. That's why nicotine gum isn't going. You can chew nicotine gum for your entire life. It's not going to kill you. I think it's better. I think obviously the additives, like I have watermelon ice right now, the flavoring and all the shit, that's probably bad for me. But I think the overall idea of it, of just smoking nicotine, it's way better than having tar in my lungs. I was a smoker for 11 years. So I remember when I had that whole thing happen in my stomach, when I had the ulcer, they took x-rays and MRIs and stuff like that. My lungs looked terrible. I was 24 years old, 25 years old, something like that. And my lungs looked terrible. And I was like, well, that's not good. I remember I had to go back. I had a knee injury and I took x-rays, and I also had like bronchitis at times. I took an x-ray of my chest at the same time just to kill two birds, one stone. And when they looked at my chest x-rays, they're like, oh yeah, your lungs look fine. And I was like, I was vaping for 2 years after that. I'm like, well, I'm not going back to cigarettes.
So your body healed in 2 years? That's what you're saying?
Something like that, yeah. Well, didn't look better.
Right.
I'm not saying vaping is healthy, but it's a better alternative than cigarettes.
For sure. Yeah.
And I got to say, it sucks because I was a smoker for so long. Nothing beats a cigarette still.
It's true, man. I miss it sometimes. Like when it's like, I don't miss how it made me feel, and it's expensive and all that. But like, man, sometimes I'll be walking down the street and someone's smoking a cigarette. And I'm like,
oh, it's like that. And it was, you know what it was? It was that first cigarette of the day that made it. That little lightheadedness you get, the smoke hitting the back of your throat, and you're just like, there's no better feeling. That's why
I don't care what they say, man. Smoking's good. Like, it's bad for you, don't do it, but it's good.
Oh, it was the best stress relief of all time. When you were stressed out, you just smoked a cigarette and everything was fine.
But I read somewhere that it stresses you more. So like it causes more stress. So like, while I get what you're saying,
it's a stimulant.
Right, but at the same time, it like causes more stress in the long run. Like, especially not having a cigarette. Like, for instance, I was a smoker during my exams, and I remember I had to smoke before I go in, or otherwise I'd just like get like really unfocused and wouldn't be able to do the exams. You know.
Yep. The last time I had a cigarette, I was actually was when when I got the news my best friend took his life. That was the last time I had a cigarette.
Wow.
And now before that was 2 years prior. But like that was such bad news and such a hit to me that I was like, I went to my coworkers like, I need a cigarette, dude. And that was the last time I smoked. I remember I smoked it and I was coughing up a lung and it tasted disgusting. And I was like, I can't believe I did this for as long as I did. I was like, but I need this one right now. I need this one right now. But yeah, no, I stick to my vape. I literally have three vapes just sitting in front of my head. This device, I have this. The worst thing is like I have so many devices now that like,
you do the CBD oil stuff. You try that out?
I smoke THC, my friend. I don't do
okay. Oh wow. CBD. Fair enough. But have you ever tried it? Do you rate it? Do you think it's good?
Yeah, I mean it's a different feeling. It's more of a body chill than a head rush.
Okay.
I like the head rush because I love cooking, and so like when I get stoned, I come up with amazing recipes. So
is corroborated by your partner? Would she agree?
Oh yeah, she loves my cooking. Like I've taken such. I have an apron. I have cookbooks down here. I have,
smart.
Avatar. It's the Avatar cookbook because Avatar is one of my favorite TV shows.
Okay, cool.
That's what this whole wall is. It's Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh man, all right.
I'm a 32-year-old man child.
Nah, good for you, man. I think it's good, man. As long as a man's responsible and on top of things, like fuck yeah, enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. Why not? Why not?
I've learned is that as an adult, my toys just get more expensive.
It's true. that never stops.
$2,000 freaking camera.
I am. Fair play, man.
$500 Nikes. Like the fuck.
Okay, hold up. Why $500 on fucking Nikes? I never get this.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I have real ones and I have fake ones. Fake ones because like I can't bring myself to wear them. But like the real ones, I'm an avid Wu-Tang fan.
Yeah,
like, I have Wu-Tang The Wu-Tang logo is tattooed on me, and it says "Protect Your Neck" right there, right? So I actually have a real pair of the only shoe that Nike has collaborated with the Wu-Tang Clan on, called the Nike Wu-Tangs. Composites. They're worth $400. I bought them. I needed them because I have the album. I'm a big Wu-Tang fan. So there's some stuff that has meaning that like I have the lost and found Nikes. They're fake. I held them up to a real pair. They don't look any different, but they match my colors. I'm a Chiefs fan. They're red and white. So I'm like, I gotta rock it, you know? So like some of them, yes. And some of them I'll keep just because I know the collectors. Like I'm big on Funko Pops. I love the Funko Pops. I have ones that are worth $200, $300 and they just sit in the box on a shelf. But I know if I'm ever in a jam, just sell it. I treat it like it's
That's a
an
good way of
investment.
looking at it. Yeah, that's a good way
Yeah.
of looking at it.
Oh, dude, like I look at everything in my office right now that I have. Like I have a signed shirt from Logic. I have a signed book from him. I have comic books from the 1970s, 60s. I have, an action figure that's worth $400. Like if I knew I was in a jam, I lost my job, I needed money, I just sell it.
Hmm.
It'll hurt emotionally to get rid of it, but I know if I ever caught in a pickle, my piggy bank. Some people put it in, stocks and stuff like that. I was like, I'd rather look at the stuff that I invested in.
Get it, man. That's a sensible. I've never really thought about it like that. Actually, that's a really sensible way to look at it.
It's the reason why. I mean, it's the reasoning I give my wife to why. Why'd you spend $70 on a toy? It's gonna be worth $150 one day.
In
Well, I kick
20 years.
myself in the ass because as a kid, dude, I had freaking Pokemon cards, and I look at them now, and it's like, well,
Yeah,
it's worth $1 million. It's worth 500,000. I'm like, motherfucker.
that's frustrating.
Oh,
That
dude,
really
like
is.
I still have a PlayStation 2. I have a Sega Dreamcast. It's
Nice.
all in my closet because I know one day it'll be worth, like right now it's only worth $60, but I know one day it'll be worth the 200 I bought it for when I first bought it. Two Xbox 360s. I have a freaking original Nintendo.
Nice.
Be worth money one day, eventually, hopefully.
One day. Okay, a couple of final questions for you. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Damn, man, you hit me with a hard one.
Boom.
Best advice. It's cliche. It's a total cliche thing. Because it's been said in movies 1,000 times too. But never take life too seriously. You never get out alive. And you've heard it. I forgot what movies it was. I think it was actually what's his name? Ryan Reynolds said that. But no, I've had people, older people tell me that. I work in sales, so I meet a lot of people and I network with them and talk with them and ask them about their lives. And I remember I had a 90-year-old guy. He had stomach cancer, and he had just bought like a $40,000 like sports car. And he said he always dreamed of just having something fast and fun and wanted to drive it. And I'm like, listen, man, like, I'm not trying to pry on your personal life, but you're fighting cancer. Like, don't you think you should like not get a race car? And he goes, no, because when I'm gonna die eventually, there's no fighting it. So why not enjoy all the time I have left? Can't take it too seriously. And I was like, damn. And I really changed my my thought process on the way I operate, because I remember when I was younger in my early to mid 20s, I was all about suit and tie and comb overs and looking professional and I got to be so serious all the time and people are going to think of me differently. And then I got to the point in my life where I'm like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. That's why I have a mustache, like a thick porno mustache, and why I get tattoos, and why I have toys at 33 this year, and why I enjoy every ounce of life. Like I enjoy food. Like I'll learn how to cook something just to learn a new thing. And um it's never, and one thing too, it's never too late to chase your dream. It's never too late. That's probably they go hand in hand, because I mean, Christian, I don't know how old you are, man. I don't know your life story. I don't know much about you. And obviously when you come on my show, I'm going to interview the same way and ask you some deep ass questions. Uh, but like I said, I started doing this at 31 years old and started doing the podcasting. And I never thought, it would lead me to a life that I feel fulfilled in. I'm having so much fun doing, chasing this thing. I know the odds are not in my favor to become big, to be the next, impulsive Joe Rogan, Howard Stern, Pat McAfee show guy. But You know what, man? And I attest it to my wife. Honestly, I give it to her. She's my massive support behind it. I originally got into all this because of video game streaming, and that's honest. That's the honest truth.
Okay.
During quarantine, we talked. I always talked about. I watch streamers, and I would talk about wanting to do it. Talk about wanting to do it. In 2021, she surprised me. I think it was my birthday or Valentine's Day or something like that. She bought me a desk. She bought me a chair. She bought me a camera, and she was like, "Just go play, go do it." And I ended up meeting my first podcast partner from streaming. He hopped in my stream. We talked. He ended up illegally streaming an MMA fight or a boxing match or something like that. And we were talking and we made commentary and people listened and they loved. And then we started the show 2 weeks later. And then I met more people from doing that. Like there's a contestant that's going to be on the new Survivor series. I met him. I'm friends with him now. And like it opened up our doorways, both of us simultaneously. To like he works in Hollywood now, my buddy. He works for movie sets. And then there's me, like, yeah, I still sell cars, but now I've learned I've gotten into photography, video editing, sound engineering, even just being comfortable on a camera and talking on a microphone. I'm sure you've had a number of guests who just aren't comfortable on a mic or in this setting.
Sometimes,
and,
yeah.
I said almost 200 episodes for you, but you had to meet a couple of them where they're just like they're awkward, and you feel like you're just dragging sometimes to get the people to talk.
Yeah, I've definitely had instances like that. But I think for the most part, if you agree to be on a podcast, you will want to talk. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've agreed to sign up for it, generally speaking, you will. But you're right. I've had a few.
I've come across enough where they're just like, so what do you do for work, man? I work on cars.
Yeah,
okay.
I had one show, and I've spoken about this a few times. There's one show. I will not say which one because I think it's a bit unprofessional to single it out. But there was one show where literally I cut 2 clips from it, and those 2 clips, about 5 minutes, are the only 5 minutes worth watching. Because the rest of it, Matt, I was trying. I was really trying. I was just trying to get conversation going, and just be like, oh, so I don't want to give it away, but like the project, like, how did you get into working on this? Oh, well, I just started working in this and then it led to this. Okay. What do you think you're going to do in the future with it? Well, I'll probably just do another one. And then, yeah. I almost, at one point, I almost got pissed at the guys, like, fucking give me something. you don't have to fake it or anything, but like, come on, you're killing me here. And part of me wondered afterwards, like, should I have published this? Maybe I shouldn't have. It was a learning lesson, and if I ever do encounter that in the future, I will just stop recording and be like, look, we're doing this or we're not doing it. That will be my future approach. Yep. But yeah, like, I mean, I think it's a two-way street. You have someone on your show. You can't expect them to just do everything. Like, you as the host have a responsibility, but you've got to kind of like fit into your role.
Guide it.
Right.
Control it.
Right.
Keep it on path.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which we did a terrible job this episode doing. We have both.
See, you say that. but that's what I like to do. That to me is that's what my show is.
Genuine.
Because we've gone from topic to topic, but you'll notice that like I asked questions to guide it here and there. Yep. I never interrupted you.
I do the same thing, man.
Right. And that's then created the show. That's what it is. I mean, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but the way I market it is this is a show where every time you listen, it'll be something different. But that structure will always be the same.
Yep.
I always approach it that way. Even if it's a topic where I'm just ad-libbing a lot of questions, which is what I did today as well, I will still in my head be trying to kind of move it to a logical sort of point. Like, and once I feel like, okay, this is kind of done, that we can move to the next thing, then I'll do that.
Yep.
But it's more, it's more like a feeling, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be a segue. It's just kind of like knowing when to kind of let someone go off on tangents and talk, and knowing when to rein it back and move to the next thing, or and I think that comes with time and experience and practice.
Exactly.
Inevitably.
But that's my whole point of that is just like, though, like I would have never, because I've been in sales my whole life, man. I've been in sales. I've been whether I was a server, bartender, working door-to-door sales, now working in the car industry. I have a natural gift of just talking, and I can talk for hours on end. It's a gift and a curse. Trick is getting me to shut the fuck up. But looking at the way I approach it now and utilizing it in a podcast setting, because I mean, I don't like, I don't want to say I know I'm funny, but I've been told by people that I'm comical. I bring good reactions, and I like this one. I will say I'm a good looking ass man. Beautiful mustache, beautiful hairline.
I like the confidence. I like the confidence.
Good. I'm a good looking man. So I was like, you know what? I never had that confidence till I stepped in front of the camera, put a microphone in front of my face, and just owned it. And now, like, it's helped me in my personal life. Like, I'm not afraid to go up to people and just talk to them. I think the biggest fear people have is rejection and, you know, getting shot down. And I'll ask any person to be on my show, to be on their show. Like, please, I just randomly messaged you on Reddit. I have 101 messages on Reddit that I just shot out because you know what? You get on somebody's show, it could be worth it. It could be fun. I meet new people. I have a good time, have a good laugh. I have 1,000,001 stories, and I'm actually going to be doing this and like I said, it's not your tool to chase your dream. Like, I'm going to be filming a docuseries in the next year. That's my plan.
Mad. Okay.
And it's going to be similar to kind of what you're doing, not to jock your style here, but I want to meet, or I'm going to be interviewing different people. Like, I got my barber, my tattoo artist. I want to do a fireman. And I want them to just tell their stories. And obviously I'll guide the interview how I needed to, but that's where I'm at right now. My planning is trying to figure out how I'm going to approach the questioning and to make it all fit together. But the whole point is that we all have different stories. We all come from different places, but when it comes down to it, we can all relate to each other, no matter where we are, who we are, what profession we do, whether it's being a tattoo artist, being a barber, being a fireman, being a surgeon, whoever it is. And I have this whole plan. I just need the funds to get the camera equipment because that shit is expensive.
Where it always comes down to that. There's so many things I would be doing now if I had the money, but right now I'm just trying to find work. Like,
I got to lose the weight too because I'm not camera ready. I got a belly, bro. Still haven't put off that quarantine weight. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you just got to hit the gym, man. No excuse. Hit the gym.
Hey, listen, I just found out my health insurance will pay for my my gym membership. I'm like,
damn, there's really no excuse now. Go, man. Trust me, going to the gym would be the best thing you ever did. I went to gym today.
I stopped drinking sodas and stuff. I drink water.
Congratulations.
This episode brought to you by Circle Water. Get it now.
Fuck's sake, man. I need a sponsorship badly.
Dude, this water bottle, I mention it every episode, everywhere I go. I'm not sponsored by them, but they need to sponsor me because I talk about it all the time. It's the greatest thing ever. It's water.
They probably will.
Dude, have you ever had Mios, like the stuff you squirt in your water and it makes it taste differently?
No, because why would you do that?
Well, like,
why would you ruin water?
Because they have like flavored water. So like this right now is strawberry kiwi. This tastes like juice. This does not taste like water, but it's just water. 0 calories, 0 sugar. What? And then they have Gatorade flavor. They have lemonade. They have iced tea. They even have coffee, which is weird. But they have orange juice. Like, it tastes like orange. Dude, it tastes just like it, and it's mind blowing. And since I've been drinking, I feel so great because I'm hydrated. My pee is clear now, not yellow anymore.
Right. I'm trying to drink more water as well. I'm trying to slowly give up the bad.
That's the hardest thing,
things.
Dude. Soda's so delicious.
Yeah.
It tastes so great.
It's the sugar. The sugar gets you, man. The sugar's bad.
That's what makes it taste so good. Yes, fried chicken is bad for you, but god damn it, it's delicious.
Final question for you.
You want to be healthy and then turn down a pizza.
Oh, bro,
Jeez.
no. Listen, I'm on a health kick and I work hard at the gym and shit, but I still eat like takeaways and pizza and shit.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I don't believe in that whole cheat day thing. I think that's stupid as fuck. What I think is the majority of the food that you consume should be healthy and should work for you, but still have the things you want to have. Just
exactly. Everything's okay in moderation.
Yeah, the whole thing that a lot of people say in fitness is it all comes down to how many calories you burn versus how many you intake. If like every single day I'm like, dude, during the pandemic, I let myself go like badly. There was many times when I didn't move out the house. I ate takeaways every single day. It was my own fault, and I let it happen. And then one day, I was like, fuck this. I want to be back in shape. And this time I'm going to do it right. And I've been doing it now about 10 months and there was progress. It took a lot of time and discipline and hard work, but it got there. But I understood certain things weren't true that I've been told. Like this whole thing of like calorie counting and just like refusing not to eat certain things or having a cheat day. Like, okay, that might work for certain people, and everyone has a different approach. So I'm not saying it's necessarily right or wrong, but for me, it works better to just make sure that most of the time I'm eating something healthy. I have little treats here and there. And yeah, sometimes, I will eat a fucking whole pizza and a bunch of other shit because fuck it, why not, man? Gotta enjoy
I have
life.
no self-control. So I got to limit myself to one cheat day a month. That's been my goal here. Just one.
That's good. That's good discipline, man. I think that's brilliant. I'm trying to limit it to weekends. But
if I'm just given free reign to eat, I'm just gonna eat whatever the fuck I want. But like the problem is like I do take up cooking. I take cooking very seriously. So for me, I gotta sit there and I make sure I get fresh ingredients and fresh meats and fresh produce when I cook. But when I'm lazy, my God, dude, Burger King sounds fantastic. Taco Bell's amazing. Chinese food is just always so good.
Oh no, I want Chinese. God damn it.
Oh. My man, I'm going to a Super Bowl party right after we're done with this. So I got wings waiting for me in about 1 hour. So
lucky guy, man.
I'm
just
rubbing
it in my face.
I haven't eaten breakfast. I'm waiting. I'm saving.
Oh yeah, you made you like it's like Olympic training.
We got the Super Bowl, baby. And my team is in the Super Bowl, so I'm gonna eat like a king today.
Congratulations, man.
We'll see when this episode releases. I either look really smart for being a Chiefs fan or looking really dumb. We'll see who wins. By the time this releases.
Tomorrow. It releases tomorrow.
You're dropping this tomorrow.
I'm dropping this tomorrow. So
sweet.
What's the best advice you've ever? No, sorry, not the best advice. What is the biggest life lesson you've learned so far?
Biggest life lesson?
Yeah.
Don't identify with a job. Don't identify your life with your job. And I see a lot of people do that. Is like, first question people ask you in an interview, and I've done this enough times, is like, what do you do? Or who are you? Who are you? What makes you you? Well, I'm a car salesman, or no, I'm a nurse, or and people identify with that work and they make it part of their everyday life because we're so accustomed to doing that 9 to 5 that we lose sight of who we actually are. When I worked in car sales, I realized that I was just becoming that car guy, and I would never separate the two, and I changed who I was, and I didn't like that. And it's because I identified with my job, and only until that I start realizing and appreciating who I was as a person and what I do as a person and the way I act and what I want to do, it changed the whole dynamic of my life. And then that trickled into my work life, and then I was given more respect among that because I never once pretended to be someone I'm not. So stay true to yourself. Like I know, like I make the joke, I'm a 30, and it's so funny because that's how I met my wife, right? Like I have a mediocre dick, A1 head game, right? Like I know me being half Asian, I'm gonna have a stereotype, right? I know that if I go into something, like if I try to put on a show and pretend to be someone I'm not, people will read right through that shit. And I read through that shit immediately when people are like, I am a stockbroker. I'm like, you're a prick.
Fucking hell.
Like, I know what you are. So like, I always make the joke is like, I'm an asshole. I know I'm an asshole and I don't pretend to be anything other than that, but I'm not a scumbag, and there's a difference. And that's the way I approach my life. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't sugarcoat it. At no point in this time during this show that I feel like I had to pretend to be act a certain way, pretend to be a certain thing. You get me for its authenticity, and people appreciate that more than people realize. That's one thing that's a life lesson that I've learned is that stay true to yourself, man. It's not worth it to pretend to be something else or someone else.
Completely agree. Do you have any upcoming projects or some final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yes. Check out the NFA pod. It is a ridiculous show. Hopefully you find it amusing. For whatever reason, 50% of our listeners are female. I don't know why. They like us. Yeah. We talk stupid. It works. I also have another show called Stream It. We started it. We had to take a little break for personal reasons. But now we're going to be coming back. We're starting recording in a couple weeks. And Stream It is a podcast where we break down movies that are on streaming services. We give you your recommendations, we review it, we break it down, we grade it, and we let you know, do we stream it or delete it? I have another show that I'm going to be working on. Don't know anything about it yet. I meet with the guy tomorrow to talk about our plan. So that keep an eye out for a mysterious project. And in the next 2 years, this will be a long time, but I have that docuseries. I'm going to be filming it, editing it, doing it 100% myself. No outside funding, no outside editors, no nothing. I am chalking this project 100% up to me. I hope it's good enough to enter into a Sundance thing. I don't know. But I'm taking this so seriously. I think this is my calling, and it's going to be a fun time. But stuff should be, I'm going to start recording that probably in the next year. Like, I'll lose the weight first, be camera ready, make a plan for the interviews, get the people for the interviews, interview, travel. Then I'm going to spend like 8 months editing, because that's going to be a nightmare. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully Netflix picks me up and I'm the next face of Netflix and everyone loves me. It's the plan.
I wish you luck, man. The best luck. I think you're too entertaining not to be picked up, if I'm honest.
I appreciate that. You know what's disheartening is that I've been told that before, and I never really took it to heart until like there was one person, a customer of mine that I worked. They were at my dealership every day for like 2 weeks, and they told me the same thing. They're like, "You're meant for so much bigger than just working at a car dealership," and that's it's stuff like people tell me stuff like that. It makes me feel good, because I was always so afraid as a kid to join the drama club, to audition for a role and like on like an acting thing, and I'm like I said, it's never too late to chase your dreams. Just keep fucking pushing, man. It's all about what you put into the world is what you get out of it. And
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm destined to watch other people be successful and not achieve it myself. Like,
man, it's all about the grind. And that's the best part. Listen, realize this. People don't care about where you're at. They care about how you got there. And that's the one thing that I will always remember. When you watch any celebrity, take The Rock, for example, right? Number one guy in Hollywood, number one guy in WWE, loved by Americans everywhere. Yes, we know him for wrestling. We know him for that. But when he interviews, he talks about it. What does he talk about? I had $1 to my name as a kid. I had $7 to my name as a kid, right? We remember their stories, how they got there. Remember the stuff that they went through to get to where guess why he has a whole TV show about the struggles he had growing up. Right? And that's the one thing that I love is hearing people's struggles to get to where they became, because you're not going to get anywhere in life without struggle. And struggle to me is just a moment of growth. It's a period that you're going to learn and that you're going to become better, because people who come out of struggle achieve greatness, and the people who don't, they stay in that same hole. They're the same kids that still live in the same small town that says, oh, if only, if this, if that, if that. And I will never, ever, ever be a person of if. That's my mentality. I don't know if I chalk it up to sports or whatnot, but I am determined and I am driven. I'm the kind of person that you tell me I can't, watch me do it, motherfucker, because I promise you I'll do it way better than you could have ever expected it. And I want you to be blown back by it. And that's just the way that I push myself daily. I try to get my friends under the same mentality. Some of them don't get it. And, some of my friends, I mean, I obviously won't name any, but there's some of my friends who still live in the same small town and still complain, well, oh man, if I was just so lucky, if I was this, everything I've accomplished in my life has not been luck. It has been straight hustle and grind. And I earn the respect from people that way. I don't want people to come to me and like respect me because I'm good on a microphone or I have really cool things or that. I want you to respect me because I, at no point in time, ever said, I'm giving up on this. I'm just not going to stop.
No, I respect that, man. I needed to hear this today. Thank you so much for just everything, for your wisdom, for your crazy stories, for just being you, man. It's been a real pleasure.
I have a lot more, so you let me know when you want me back on.
Hell to the fuck yeah! I know my audience. We can
have a whole series just me just talking about this shit.
Bro, you are always welcome on, and I've had certain guests come back and stuff. I'll say this now, I'll throw this out to my audience because I know there will be people who want to ask questions. If you have questions for Zaga and you would like to see him on the show again, please send them in to me, christianreevepodcast@gmail.com or Instagram, and we will get Zaga back on the show, and we will have another round 2, round 3, round 4, who knows. But send in your questions because that would be fucking awesome. And I really want to go on your show now.
Yes.
I'm excited.
And for the listeners at home listening to his podcast here, I have weekly polls and shit and questions on my podcast on Spotify. Pop in, leave a comment,
Yes.
leave something on there because we're always looking for shit to talk about, and we want people like my most recent one that's coming out next week or this week or no last week. It was, did you eat Play-Doh as a child? I need to know. This is a scientific study. Please go to my Spotify, look for the NFA pod, and just let me. I don't even care if you comment, review, listen, nothing. Just let me know if you ate Play-Doh as a kid because my co-host is 100% believing that people did do this as a child, and I'm like, nobody ate Play-Doh as kids. You're just weird. So I need y'all to back me up on this.
Yeah.
Or if you really didn't like me on this
taste
episode
it.
and you just hate me for being who I am, just agree that you ate Play-Doh because clearly you did.
Tasted, maybe. Ate, no. No.
Just the texture alone is disgusting.
It is. That's why
But
I was
Christian,
like,
thank you.
"Ugh."
Thank you
thank
seriously
you
for having me on the
Thank
show.
you.
I had a lot of fun. And
Thank you.
I will stay in contact with you. I know we got different time zone stuff going on, but we'll plan something to get you on my show. And I promise you're going to have a hell of a laugh.
I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. Thank you so much. And to all the listeners of the Christian Reeve podcast, as always, be safe, be well, and I'll see you in the next one.